Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
Welcome once again to New Life Live, or perhaps I should say, bienvenidos. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Brian Perez here. We are taking calls for 2 hours. 1-800-229-3000 is the number to call us today if you want to talk about whatever it is you're going through, some kind of guilt or struggle or remorse or trauma, agitation, so much that we can get into as we're going to be here for 2 hours at 1-800-229-3000. We've got licensed professional clinical counselor Becky Brown joining us. How are you, Becky?
Hey, Brian, and I'm so good. I'm celebrating 41 years of marriage today. So
today?
Cinco de Mayo.
Congratulations.
Yes, today is it. Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
Very nice. Marc Cameron's here in the studio with me. He's a licensed marriage and family therapist. How are you doing, Marc?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Great. What's on your mind to start us
I
off?
want to talk about bickering today. So we often hear about the top things that couples argue about, which is money, sex, parenting, division of household chores. And that might lead you to believe that, if we just came to an agreement on these things, then all would be good in the marital world. But people argue over these things because those are just the things that they talk most about. Now, Dr. John Gottman, who founded the Gottman Institute, and they do a lot of research and studies on couples, and specifically how couples fight. They've studied thousands of couples. He was asked, what's the number one thing couples fight about? And he said, the number one thing couples fight about is nothing.
Nothing. I thought it would be money.
Well, and I help many couples navigate conflict, and I think Dr. John Gottman is right, because I find couples bicker over meaningless topics, right? Well, like, which parking spot should we park in, or who gets to pick the restaurant where they eat, or whose fault is it that we're late for this thing, right? And I know my wife and I used to argue about a lot of those things. And so people get into arguments because they lead with complaints and criticisms and blaming, and they say things like, you always do that, you never do this, not one time have you, I can't believe you are so selfish. And what I've learned is that it's more than the topic of the situation itself. What matters most is how partners respond to negative emotions and how they give feedback to one another. So here's a few tips on giving feedback. Number one, learn to take turns as the listener and the speaker. Most often people want to be the speaker. Both of them want to be the speaker, and nobody is the listener. At the same time. So no one's really listening, and they're talking over each other, and each is focusing on their own hurts. So take turns, split that up, identify who's the listener, who's the speaker, and then switch roles. Use I statements. Many times people lead with you statements, and what often follows a you statement is a criticism or a complaint or a blame, like you always, instead of an I feel this way. And that helps make it subjective and talks about your experience. Make observations about behavior, not character, rather than asking, why do you think you're better than everyone else? Which there's no good answer for the person. Make an observation. I noticed that when this situation happens, you do this, and this is how it affects me. And can you help me understand what your decision making is? And then make requests for what you want. Most people usually talk about what they don't want, like stop making decisions for me, instead of saying something like, could you please include me in decision making? And then number 5 is be open to collaboration for resolution. Don't just expect the other person to make changes so that you feel better. Again, if you do the listener speaker roles, hear them out. Now, we all have triggers, meaning particular things that bother us from our past, and many times these wounds occurred before we got married. So if you do some hard work in therapy to understand your triggers and learn how to manage your reactivity, that can pay huge dividends to your relationship communication. I love Romans 12:18. It says, if it is possible, as far as it depends upon you, live at peace with everyone.
Becky, there's no more bickering at the Brown household, right?
None.
After 41
Zero.
years?
You've solved it all.
Zero. It's marital bliss. Yeah, we've actually bickered about everything that we can in 41 years. So
yes,
we're on a better way now because of what we've learned here at New Life. That's why.
Very good. All right, we're taking calls for 2 hours. Grab an open line. 1-800-229-3000 is the number to talk to Becky Brown and Marc Cameron. We can't wait to hear from you on New Life Live.
We've been married 33 years. We attended the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop. Even though we've read books or attended a few other marriage weekends, this was certainly different and a lot more intensive than initially that we thought.
When you come to intimacy in marriage, you're going to be immersed into a 3-day process.
Was not really sure exactly what to expect, but the idea of learning to really understand intimacy was intriguing. We had been in the same patterns of struggle over and over again.
If you've thought, I don't think we can ever change, we're just in this rut and we can't get out, the Intimacy in Marriage workshop can help you get out of the rut.
The Intimacy in Marriage weekend is July 25th to the 27th in Washington, D.C. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50. 1-800-639-5433.
I would highly recommend it.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Here's what one listener said who called New Life Live. Talking to you on the radio was life-changing for me. The whole interaction left me feeling loved and cared for in ways I've never experienced. And that's why we're going to be here for 2 hours today to talk to you. 1-800-229-3000. If you're a member of the royal family, please call in. We would love to help you with everything
Yes.
you're going through, too. Benny calling us from Indianapolis. Welcome to New Life Live. Benny, go ahead.
Thank you.
Hi. What's your question for us today?
Hi, how are you?
Doing well, thanks.
So my question is, I have a couple sons, my 3 sons, actually a couple sons, 3 sons that I have shared parenting with their mom. We got divorced back in 21 and we've been navigating that ever since. So my boys are here at my place at Thursdays, every Thursday and then every other weekend. And I kind of feel like they treat my place like the hotel. And I'm trying to figure out how they can take more ownership. What the problem is if, I stay on them about this little stuff, it seems like most of the time that they're here with me, I'm just following after them and correcting them, and we're not spending quality time together. So,
Becky, any thoughts from you?
How old are they, Benny? I'm curious. How old are they? And because you've been divorced 4 years. So what are their ages?
So I got a 13-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 17-year-old. And I would call the 17-year-old the worst out of the bunch.
Well, but you're talking about adolescence, which, I mean, it wouldn't matter if you were divorced or married or whatever, you could be having these same challenges. The other part about this too, Benny, is sometimes a lot of times, not even sometimes, in the adolescent years, it feels like they test you as, everything from, it doesn't feel like they're grateful for what you've done for them or what you do for them, or that they don't recognize home as, a precious gift to them, as I hear, you're saying. But I'm really kind of curious, what are some of your strategies that you have used? You say that most of your conversations with them are, you're correcting them or saying, hey, pick this up or shut the door or take care of this. Is that kind of the rhythm in your Thursday and every other weekend visits?
No, I've probably not been stepping up. I've actually been collecting. My strategy was really collecting a list of all the stuff they're doing and just playing it back to them and saying, look, I was going to call a family meeting. We're going to go through that list and be like, hey, guys, this is what I'm dealing with. And, I don't want to be chasing after you for these reasons because, I'd be after you the whole entire time and just kind of seeing if I can get them to come to the table. That was my fault.
So just to reframe, and then I'll let Mark tackle some of this. Benny, them treating your home like a hotel could actually be a benefit, that they feel like it's a home away from home, that they feel like they're being taken care of. Now, I know that that's probably not the way that you are experiencing it, but to provide a safe space for them to be the young men that they're growing into being is very important. And I think at this point in your relationship, you want to look for ways that you can connect with them and not let the house stuff be the lead conversation. And I'm going to turn it to Mark because, Mark, I want you to talk about the feeling words and, helping those young men become the men that I know Benny wants them to be.
Yeah. Well, Benny, 3 boys, man, 13, 14, and 17, you are in the thick of it. And as Becky said, these are typical problems with kids that age, especially boys, I find. But yeah, so it's a challenging time, and I was going to suggest doing a family meeting. So I'm glad that you've got that in your mind to do. But here's what I want to tell you: rules without relationship leads to rebellion. So before you do the family meeting, what I want you to do is check in with each of them. Build your connections, because you're saying it's more about correction right now than it is about connection. So I want you to ask them about what their experience is like having to go back and forth between 2 households. That's difficult for a kid to have 2 bedrooms, to have 2 places to keep your homework or keep your things and make sure, if I've got something important, I got to take it from mom's house to dad's house and things have got to follow me around. So I want you to ask them, what's difficult for you about living in 2 different places? What's been challenging for you about the divorce? And I want you just to check in with each of them about that, and just you listen to them, because kids learn through modeling. So when you do the family meeting, you're going to want them to listen to you. So you need to show them how to listen by you modeling that for them. So I want you to check in with them about that too, to find out, what feelings are they managing through this whole thing. Then I think another thing to figure out is, what are things that can be consistent between your house and your ex-wife's house? And if you have a good relationship with her, maybe you can check in with her and find out what are their chores over there, what are things that are expected at her home. And you were married for a long time, so you probably have a good idea. And learning to have consistency between both homes, because otherwise, like Becky said, there is some benefits to, being a home away from a home, but you also want there to be some type of consistency too, so that they know that what we're expecting between mom's house and dad's house is relatively the same, because what you've got right now is a boy's house. And you don't want it to be a frat house type of situation, because you are the dad. But if you can build connection with them, and then you draw them into the family meeting, and I like the way that you were going to go about it, rather than just kind of tell them off. You were going to put the problems out there and say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with, and then invite them to be part of the solution. Do you guys think this is fair that I'm doing all of the picking up? And then assign them each roles. And boys this age, it is going to be one of those things where they are going to need accountability, and you'll probably need to do some reminders and keep checking in before they get consistent. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I like the way that sounds. I did do roles in the summer. The time the schedule moves to 1 week on, 1 week off, and I was giving them roles worked great. It's a little bit harder when it's a short period of time, like every other weekend, and on Thursdays only. it's like they're in and out, and it's
What do you think about the checking in? Like I'm saying, that part's got to happen first, where you check in with each of them, and then you just listen and you see how the whole divorce, shared custody situation impacts them.
Oh, absolutely. I'm definitely going to do that. I like that concept.
Awesome.
I will make sure that I have the same conversation with each one of them. I'll do it separately rather than as a whole.
Yeah. Good job.
Well, and what I'm thinking too, Benny, is if Thursdays are that's, I'm assuming during the school year, Thursdays are the deal, right? And do they come in after school on Thursday and then they're gone Friday morning?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And
okay,
so that they all 3 play sports, but okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So here's the other part of this too. I'm glad you said that about the sports. What I would want for you to think about is some sort of tradition for Thursday nights that, it's not home as usual. And if they're playing sports, you can actually build that connection where you're attending each of their games, or, that they support their brothers. This is really a special time, because your 17-year-old is going to be gone soon, I'm sure. But if Thursdays with, your three sons could be a special time, and they'll look back at this and they'll remember Thursday was the day that, whether you have the same meal, whether, this is what we do. And I don't know, Benny, if you're into sports at all, but I think this is a good opportunity for you to coach them kind of like your own team. And I know some of the listeners are like, Becky, he's the dad. Well, you know what? You can speak truth into their lives, and you can create a cohesive unit. Whatever your last name is, the Smith men always do this, or the Smith men are, we value this, and just speak into their lives, even on just the Thursday. I mean, you're making an impact in their lives, Benny. And I really don't want it to be just about the chores. Yes, the chores are important, but like Mark said, let's connect.
Yeah, and just one final thought, just to reinforce what Becky said. I think that's genius what Becky is saying about having some tradition, because you know why? That serves as a subconscious mental transition from them, that we're going from mom's house to dad's house. And so if you can do something like that and then reinforce the relationship and the rules, that will really help.
And I would send him How We Love Our Kids.
I have it right here. I'm ready to mail it to him right now. Well, maybe not this copy. We'll send you a brand new copy of How We Love Our Kids from the newlife.com store. Benny, thank you for calling in today. 1-800-229-3000 is our number. And now we're going to talk to Joe in Washington, D.C. Scott, you're coming up too. Thanks for calling in today. How can we help you, Joe?
Hey, good afternoon, folks. Hey, my wife has an ability, I heard you say a few minutes ago, to get, triggers. She was doing something out back, trimming a bush, and I was doing some yard work or something, and I had a headphone on, so I can't hear anything. And I mumbled, oh, the poor bush is getting butchered again. And then a few minutes later, I could see she was angry, and I've learned to finally just ask, what are you mad at? And then she launched into this tirade and was screaming at me. And and she gets incredibly, I don't know what you say, screaming matches, and I can't say a word because she just freight trains me and talks over me. So I just say nothing, and I sit there and take this stuff. She was doing it so bad Saturday, I was trembling like a leaf because I didn't know what to do, and finally I just left the house and went out and did something for the day. And now, so she's still mad, and I try to talk to her, and she's totally not there. She doesn't want to say a thing. And, I know maybe I'm just antsy because we haven't been intimate in a little bit, 5 years. And I don't know what to do.
So these triggers happen after things that you say to her, or just anytime?
She read my lips, and I said she's butchering the tree. That set her off.
Oh, you told her that she was butchering the tree.
I wasn't even talking to her. I was listening to my headphone. I looked over and said, oh, she's butchering the tree. And didn't think about it, went on my way. But she either can read lips like nobody, or she hears better than anything I've ever known. And that was enough to do it. Sometimes it could just be a simple something. It could be a different question, totally irrelevant, and something was to get her started. And she was just in this spit-spewing rage.
Joe, how long have you guys been married, and how often has this occurred over the lifetime of your marriage?
We married 42 years or so. 2 sons out there. They're good. They're doing great with their families. And these rages of hers have been going on a while. She used to, I'm embarrassed, but I'll say, in the old days, hit me. But I never touched her. And then she would get these rages, and she said, we got to get a divorce, and I just said, why? What's wrong? But I don't even engage like that anymore because the yelling match was useless. So I just have learned to say nothing. Very minimal. So he was mad.
Have you guys ever done any counseling? Has she done any therapy at all over your 42 years about this or anything else?
I guess one time we tried somebody, but this lady was not the right person. I guess she was a counselor, but who knows what it was for. I don't know. A friend recommended her, and we both didn't get anything out of it. I can say that. It's not like listening to your show where you can hear people that seem to be in the same vein of the issues we have.
Yeah. Joe, I just want to say this, and I'm going to let Mark take this. Joe, you're not the only one. And there are many couples that struggle with these rage events. And it's very sad because, like you said, you walked away and you were trembling because you're verbally attacked. And I know that she felt that as well. And then there's a shame cycle that kicks in. She feels bad because she did this, or she's focused on, you should have done something different. You feel stuck because it feels like, you're going to be attacked at any moment. And we want to get underneath what this is about. And we've been helping people a long time with these kind of issues through our Intimacy and Marriage Intensive. I'm not going to do a commercial, but I kind of am. Just because you just said, Joe, that, when you hear other people who've struggled with stuff like this, it really gives you insight that you aren't the only one. There is hope. But you can hear the music. We're going to take a break. And Mark's going to bring his wisdom after that break.
Indeed, he is. Joe, stay on the phone. We'll come back to you in just a moment. Scott and everyone else that's going to call in today, 1-800-229-3000 is our number. Can't wait to hear from you.
Early on, looking at pornography that went into affairs, massage parlors, strip clubs with buddies. Before you know it, you're ashamed of that.
Every day, men struggle with sexual integrity. Impure thoughts, strip clubs, affairs, pornography.
My wife got a phone call, and she asked me who this person was, and man, how do I get myself out of this one?
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Intensive.
When she said to me, I want you to look at this website named Every Man's Battle, she had me look, and I said, no, this is exactly where I need to be. This is exactly the problems I have, and I'm gonna go.
You don't have to struggle any longer. Get help in Denver, Colorado, June 6th through the 8th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to register or to find out more. 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Use the discount code NLL to save $50. For over 35 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addiction, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
I found a counselor through New Life Ministries, and it's just been outstanding.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first steps toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door for a better tomorrow.
To get someone that's competent, that's good at what they do, it's been like day and night compared to what I've had before.
Call 1-800-639-5433. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
And back to Joe, who is in Washington, D.C., listening on WAVA. You still with us, Joe?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Licensed marriage and family therapist Marc Cameron, take it away.
Hey, Joe. So, yes, it sounds like when you said she's butchering the tree, whether you're wearing your headphones or not, she either lip read you or you said it louder than you thought you did, and she heard what happened. And obviously she took that as a criticism. And maybe I'm guessing here, she probably felt a little bit abandoned by you in that moment. Now, we tend to go into... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, she knows that was my tree and my things I had growing. She gets this, I don't know what you call it, when she just decides to chop things up. For example, I had planted a plant that was growing, and when I went to water it, she told me, don't do that, that's mine. I put it in there.
Yeah. So
Okay. So I'll keep doing the manly things, and you keep doing the womanly things.
Well, let me tell you this. Remember, I don't know if you listened to the beginning of what of the show, and I talked about what people argue about, and really it's more about the way people bicker. So, and then emotional reactivity. Now, people tend to go one of three different ways. They take on one of three different roles. They either take on a role of a pursuer, they take on a role of a distancer, or they take on the role of a freezer. Now, I'm guessing from what you told me is that she's more of a pursuer and you're more of a freezer, and somebody who frees kind of fixes and pleases and appeases. Now,
that's right.
Yeah. So when, every couple has something called a core pattern, and it's the way that they have conflict. So when you get two of these roles and you put them together, that becomes your core pattern. So you are in a pursuer freezer core pattern. So even though it's not right that she criticizes and complains and demeans and puts you down and even hit you in the past, that's not right. But you have a part in this by you not standing up, by you not holding a healthy boundary. You're actually, and unintentionally, and I'm not saying it's your fault, I'm just saying that you're reinforcing her behavior by not doing anything. So you're not responsible. You're not responsible for her behavior, but you have power within yourself to say, hold on a second, this is not okay. It's not okay for you to demean me and put me down. And I hear that you're having strong feelings about this, and I want to hear about them. But when we're able to do so in a calm and respectful way, I'd be willing to have that conversation. So let me know when you're ready. And then you learning to walk away and be strong enough to withstand the displeasure that she might have. And then when she wants to come back and re-engage, you asking for an apology or a repair before you do re-engage, because that's how healthy couples navigate conflict. So my suggestion for you is to find a couples counselor, find somebody who helps them understand these roles. And we fall into these roles because of the way our childhood experiences have shaped us. They shaped us to be one of these three ways, depending on how we learned to deal with our needs going unmet or what we had to do to get our needs being met. And as you understand these things, that they come from a core wound, because because you started this off with triggers. That's what a trigger is. A trigger is a reminder in the present of something from the past. And that is what is going on. And then it leads to this reactivity. So if you can find a counselor who can help you both understand those parts, understand your parts of the role, and show you how to stand up in a healthy way, show her how to contain all of those strong emotions inside and not react in that way, and then show you the healthy way of how to have a conversation where you split it into a listener and speaker role, then you can start this practice work of working your way out. And as Becky was saying, intimacy in marriage, and the next one coming up is right there in your backyard. It's July 25th, right there in Washington, D.C. We help couples understand this whole dynamic and show them how to work their way out of it.
What do you think, Joe?
Intimacy in marriage. Yeah.
And we'll give you all the information, Joe, and we'll get you connected with a counselor that does exactly what Marc is talking about. We have people, we have counselors all across the country. We got a lot there in the WAVA area that do this exact work. I'm just kind of curious, Joe, how do you hear what Marc is saying? Do you agree? Are you wanting to defend yourself? What are you thinking?
Well, because it was so fresh, later when she was, I thought, over it, I said, I'm sorry, and then she just freight trained you, and then I didn't even look at her. She just look at me when I'm young, or saying whatever it was, and it's just the negativity.
Yeah, it's terrible,
so
Joe. Right.
And your growth will happen, though, Joe, when you look at your part in the pattern, when you start to look at how did I develop into a person who freezes and appeases and allows others to walk all over me? Once you look into your past history to see how that developed, then you can make sense of it, and then you can choose a different role, not a role as a pursuer or a distancer, but as somebody who stands up for yourself, but also invites healthy connection.
And here's the thing, when you have a spouse that's so dysregulated like your wife is right now or has been for years, there's something behind the rage. And it may not be you, Joe. It's just that this is the dynamic. That's what Marc's saying is that, but you're not going to get to it in the moment. You're going to have to find a way to bring the calm into the relationship. And there are ways to do that. But it's not going to be just the two of you figuring this out. I think we should send them How We Love. And Joe, stay on and we'll get you connected with a counselor, and we'll get you information about the Intimacy and Marriage Intensive, because it will change the way that you are married.
Yes, the How We Love book, we're going to send that to you. Thank you for calling in today here on New Life Live. And Intimacy and Marriage happening the weekend of July 25th in Washington, D.C. in your backyard there, Joe. Thanks for calling in today. You can get all the details about Intimacy and Marriage at newlife.com. 1-800-229-3000 is our number. More of your calls coming up.
Do you need help for life's hard situations?
My husband recently said he wanted a divorce.
I'm confused on what I should do.
I have an eating disorder.
New Life Live answers your questions on relationships, grief, addiction, trauma, anxiety, and much more, all from a biblical perspective with our panel of professional counselors and psychologists.
I learn a lot from your program.
You help so many people.
I appreciate your ministry.
Whether you listen or watch, there are so many ways to connect with us to ask our panel of counselors a question. Call us Monday through Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific at 1-800-229-3000 to ask your question on New Life Live. Or go to newlife.com/radio for other ways to get your question answered.
I'm trying to find help.
I just want to know how to set boundaries.
If it's a sin, what am I supposed to do?
Need a therapist or a coach, a resource, or an intensive? Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
So we talk about these intensives that we do here at New Life, and we just had one this past weekend, the Restore Healing After Betrayal. Becky Brown, you were there. How was it?
I was there, and it's always amazing to me. On Friday, the women come in and they're feeling unsure about what they're in for, but they're willing to take that risk to get the healing that they need after experiencing betrayal in their relationships. And by the first break, they have made friends and they have felt seen and heard, which is the key thing about their recovery in their betrayal. And you know, we are hoping and praying for marriages to survive, but we're also wanting to help these women experience restore. You know, whether their marriage has already, because we have some women that have been divorced and they're there, but they find how God is healing them so that they can have the whole life that they want. And we connect them with other groups and they do sustained healing. It's just an amazing way to see God at work, front row seat. And this is the reason why I want to just say thank you to all you who give to New Life. Your gifts make it possible for people to find the help that they need. There are so many needs in our lives and in our relationships. And as you give, and especially now we have this matching gift campaign, and we're asking for you to give so that New Life can continue to make an impact in this world. And I think if you look around a little bit, you can see where we have some struggles and people need the help and the encouragement that God has provided through New Life. So I want to encourage you, if you have not already given to the match, or maybe if you want to give to the match again, you've already given. Today is the day, and Brian's going to tell you how to do that.
There's 3 ways you can do it. You can go to our website, newlife.com, or you can call us here at 1-800-NEW-LIFE, or text the word match to 28950. We've got a $500,000 $10 matching gift. We're hoping to meet the match by the end of this month, and you can help us do that. Again, by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE or at newlife.com, or text the word match to 28950. By the way, we've got another Restore Healing After Betrayal intensive, so mark your calendars. It's the weekend of November 7th in Washington, D.C., and you can find more details about it at newlife.com. Back to the phones we go. Scott in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, listening on WRGN. Hi there, Scott. Welcome.
Hi, how you doing there? I have a question. I come from a real traumatic childhood, and my two sisters also. Now, I actually am in ministry, big time in ministry, because what the Lord put me in, usually what you go through becomes your ministry. But I can't minister to my sisters, which is one of the toughest things to do, is to minister to family. And let me give you a background of what we went through. We were sexually abused from the crib until 11, and then we prayed for that to stop, and then they got into an argument, or two abusers got into an argument, and one pulled out a gun and shot and killed the other one, and then the abusing stopped. But it so happened to be my brothers. And my sister diagnosed herself with cognitive post-traumatic stress, and she's diagnosed herself with that. She just thinks that she can't come back from that. But the hardest thing to do is I minister to a lot of people in addictions and recovery and grief and all, but it is so hard to minister to your own family. I just pray somebody to send their way. But is there anything that I can do to minister to them?
What do you guys think?
Well, you and your siblings have been through something very traumatic, Scott. I mean, for 11 years, sexual abuse, and then I don't know if you witnessed the shooting of one abuser to the other abuser, but if you did, that's another trauma on top of that.
Yeah, it was a family party at Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
So, Christmas was not very good too.
Yeah. Right. And so that creates an association in the mind. Now, the Lord's designed our brains in particular ways. And he's designed our brains to be able to handle trauma. And we create triggers, we create associations from significant events that happen, and they get stored. And because our brain says, hey, remember that was significant. So if something like that happens again, you need to react in a certain way to save yourself. Now, PTSD forms because these associations happen in everyday life, kind of like, fireworks on July 4th or a car backfiring might trigger a veteran. Right, the sound sounds like a bomb or sounds like a rocket. Really, they are safe, but their body goes into self-protective mode. And that's what happens with trauma. Trauma gets stored in the brain, and that's the way the Lord's designed us to be adaptive so that we can learn how to save ourselves. But once we get out of a traumatic situation, we need to have that trauma processed in a particular way. And so you can heal. The trauma can move from the part of the brain that holds it there right on the surface to a more deeper, if you will, file cabinet where it kind of gets locked away. Not that it goes away and compartmentalized forever, but you choose when you access it. It's not kind of on the surface where it keeps triggering you. So there's particular therapies, trauma-based therapies. There's one that's very effective. It's called EMDR. It stands for eye movement desensitization reprocessing. And you go through the trauma again, but in a safe place. It's not like you relive the whole trauma, but your body kind of re-experiences it. A clinician is trained in how to do this, and it helps move that trauma. And so just talking about it alone, I know you're saying minister, and I love that you are making sense of your pain by learning to help others. But your sister, and possibly even you, and you may not even know it, may need some deeper level of treatment to be able to find some healing for that trauma. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, Scott, the other thing I hear... Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Becky, go ahead.
What I hear from you, Scott, though, as someone who's called into ministry, that is your natural inclination now, that you want to minister. And your question about how do I help my sisters, right? My first thing, this is a horrific experience all across the board. If you took one of the things that you talked about, we help people kind of unwind those traumas, like what Mark is talking about. I wonder if you guys ever did family therapy where you all sat in the same room with a qualified trauma therapist just to tell the story.
Yeah. No, we actually haven't. I mean, I've dealt with my trauma, and the Lord has delivered me from that. I mean, the Lord has done tremendous things in my life and used what I've gone through into a ministry. I mean, I actually have a Facebook group, and I minister to men all over the country.
Right.
I'm in a good place.
So this
is where my sister
is. Right, but that's the hard part is that your heart is breaking because she's not yet in a place where, and you said that it was a family member that killed the perpetrator. And so there's this big story that's going on around your lives. And I'm so grateful that God is using your story to help other people. My recommendation is that, if your sister has kind of shut you down, like she doesn't want to go there, she thinks she's got this, that's a control measure because of the trauma that she's been through. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, who wants to talk about something that was so horrific? I don't want to go there again. We have a lot of clients that will say that, and that's where EMDR can be very helpful because it creates a space for you to be present, not like you are in the past, but you can bring those feelings and thoughts up. I would just say to her, I love you. And would you ever consider coming to a family session just for me, to help me? Because she doesn't want you to help her, Scott. So just a thought.
Yeah, I try to lead by example. And, I don't want to force anything on her because I know she'll run from that. And, but like I said, I minister to a lot of people all around the country, but yet it's so hard to minister to your own family.
That's right.
That's
so
it's so tough.
The approach I'm having you ask her to help you. You help everybody else. She doesn't want you to help her. So ask her to help you and go into a family therapy session where you can talk about these things, and it's going to be helpful to her. It will be helpful to her. Even if the premise is that you're the one that is in need of help, you both need help and you both need healing, even if you're helping other people, Scott.
Should we send Scott a copy of Forgiving What You'll Never Forget?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Great minds think alike. Very good.
Yes,
Scott, stay on the phone and we will talk to you in just a moment. We'll get your address, I should say, and send you a copy of that book from the newlife.com store. Rhonda, James, Terrence, stay on the phone. We're going to come back here on New Life Live and talk to you. And today is Every Man's Battle Monday. A new episode of our podcast dropped today. It's a weekly podcast where you'll hear honest conversation and encouragement for living a life with sexual integrity. Find it wherever you get your podcasts or watch it on the New Life YouTube channel, and make sure to share it with your friends. You might know somebody who's struggling with this, and they will benefit greatly from watching these episodes. They come out every Monday on podcast, anywhere, wherever you get your podcasts, you can find it. It's called Every Man's Battle. It's also on the New Life YouTube channel. Okay, we'll be back with more of your questions at 1-800-229-3000.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Club New Life changes lives.
You guys came along into my life in 2022.
That was a really, really difficult year of my life.
You can help New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people by joining Club New Life today.
I began to really process a lot of things that I've needed to for a long time, and y'all were a very big part of that.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
I came out of it having never experienced anything like that, and y'all were there.
Join today and help continue the message of hope to a troubled world.
I knew I had to keep going, and I joined Club New Life, and y'all have been the resource that has now been a light for my wife and I.
Go to newlife.com/CNL, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places.
Keep doing what you do because it makes a difference.
newlife.com/CNL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
This hour is almost done, but we're going to stay in the studio for another hour, taking your calls at 1-800-229-3000. So many people that we can help. It is Mental Health Awareness Month, too, so we would love to talk to you about whatever struggles it is that you're going through at 1-800-229-3000. Let's go to Texas now. Here is Terrence, who is listening on KWRD. Hey there, Terrence. Thanks for calling in today.
How you doing, sir?
Doing well.
Okay,
how are you?
I'm okay. Here's my thing. My wife and I have been married 24 years, and I love my wife dearly. I cheated a lot. In the beginning of our marriage, and the Lord saw us do that. We're both saved. We're both ministers at our church. But now her body's deteriorating. She is obese. She has diabetes. And she's having problems. She can barely walk. She has a toilet in the room. And so basically, I've become her maid. I have to empty her pot. I have to clean up behind her. We have to cook her food. My daughter from my first marriage and we're like basically her maids, her slaves. And I'm beginning to feel, and I hate to say it because I love her, and I know it's to death do us part in the sickness and health, but it's trying. It's very trying. So I'm feeling like a slave.
Terrence, so what you're describing, and it does sound like a challenging situation, is being a caregiver, but you're saying that you feel like a maid or you feel like a slave. Is she treating you like a maid or a slave, or it just feels like that because of all the work you have to do? At times, yes. She's treating you that way, and yes. In what way does she treat you like that?
Well, did you get my pot? Did you get this? Do this. Mm-hmm. You know, instead of I have a routine that I do it. You know, like in the mornings before I go to work. Well, in the afternoon before I go to work, I usually do a pot. Empty her pot. Make sure she got what she needs. Fix the bed and things like that. But like there's some morning shit that, well, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? And it throws my routine off, and it's frustrating.
So it sounds demanding to you. Is she meaning to be mean? Do you think, or it's just
I believe
fear or concern that her needs aren't going to be met?
My personal belief, I've taken care of her since we've been married. She worked her job maybe twice, but because of her health, I refuse to let her go to somebody's job and pass out at their job or something like that. So I've taken care of. I made sure we had everything we needed: a roof over our head, clothes on our back, shoes on our feet. And what I'm believing now is that she's getting bitter because she cannot move around. She cannot do what she wants to do. She lashes out.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, Terrence, about your relationship other than the caregiving. You in your question when you started, you talked about your infidelity early on in the relationship, and that you both overcame that. You've been married, 24 years. what other conversations do you have with your wife besides caregiving and health?
Oh, we talk about everything. We have a beautiful relationship. We talk about everything. I even talk to her about that from time to time. The way she lashes out at myself and my daughter from my daughter. From my first marriage. We talk about everything. We talk about the infidelities from time to time. They come to her mind, But like I said,
so the reason why I was asking that, Terrence, is because I'm wondering what your real question is, because you're willing to do what you need to do to care for her, which is admirable. But the challenge in your relationship is that sometimes she takes it for granted. I mean, that's what I'm hearing in the demanding. And so if things were better for the two of you, what would that look like?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I don't really have a problem doing it. It's just that when she starts snapping out orders and demands. I'm not your slave. I'm not, I'm doing this because you're my wife.
Right. I hear that. But I'm going to hand it back to Mark, because he started with, you're essentially her caregiver. And, we talked about caregivers last week, and how hard it is to care for someone you love, no matter what the situation is. And Terrence, this is wearing on you, and it's impacting your relationship.
Yeah,
Mark?
Let me normalize it a little bit for you, Terrence, because I used to work in the dialysis world. I used to run some dialysis clinics, and the patient who is losing the loss of their kidney function, they go through grief. Anytime you have loss, you go through the stages of grief. And there's a lot of fear involved in that, and it's kind of normal that they go through that. And then as a caregiver, the caregivers are really the unsung heroes. They come to all of the appointments, they do all of the, they fill all the prescriptions, they do all of the things that the person gets prescribed, but they're really more in the background. But there's something called caregiver burnout, and I think that's what you're experiencing here. And so this, the dynamic that you are in is creating these two roles that are happening. And because most relationships, most marriages, when they're healthy, they have balance. And I'm not saying that this is unhealthy, but there's an imbalance that has been created just because of circumstance. And this is the for better or for worse part. But I just want to normalize for you, what she might be going through, the fear and the grief, and what you might be going through, this caregiver burnout. And so two things that I would say. One, for her, you said that you've got a good relationship. Talking about things, ask her about the fear, ask her about the grief, because I think before you're leaving for work, when she's saying, well, have you done this, well, have you done that, it's probably some kind of fear that's going on inside of her that she won't get her needs met, or her needs might not get met if you go and you don't take care of something. So even though you're probably very attentive and you've got a routine and it throws off your routine, there's fear and there's grief underneath it. So if you've got this good relationship that you can talk about, ask her about the fear, ask her about the grief. And then once you can get into that, then you can talk maybe a little bit and find some balance about how it affects you when she speaks in a certain way, and you can maybe give her some language. Say, hey, if you could ask in this way, I'd be more receptive to that. And then for yourself, find a caregiver support group. Where you can talk about the struggles, because oftentimes caregivers feel guilty to say, like, I hate doing this for this person, and it's stressful for me. So if you find a group where you're all experiencing the same things, and again, these are normal, it will help that feel normalized for you. And then a third thing could be, getting some break time for yourself by having other people come in. And I forget the name of it now when someone comes in and kind of relieves you. Respite. Thank you, Becky. That just lost my mind for a second, left my mind for a second. But find some respite care for her where you can get a break too.
And I want to say one more thing, Terrence. Here's what I instead of having all the conversations about what she needs and what you need to do, I want to encourage you to begin praying together. To begin, maybe start a devotional time that, it doesn't have to be, preaching and teaching. There's got to be a way for you guys to connect. You've exhibited that you love her because you're caring for her, but I don't want it to get to a place where you're just the caregiver, because you're right. Love and honor till death do you part and all that kind of stuff. But you don't want to miss the opportunity to really have that really close spiritual bond as well.
Let's send you something from the newlife.com store. Becky, what do you recommend?
Well, I was thinking Sacred Marriage would be a good book
one
for them.
Okay.
So.
Terrence, we're going to send you a copy of that in the mail. And Rhonda, James, we want to talk to you as well, so don't hang up. 1-800-229-3000 is our number. We're going to be taking calls for another hour, and we would love to hear from you today on New Life Live.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.